Steele, Kane Hodder, Laura Parklation, CJ Graham, Ari Lee, Kimberly Beck, Stephen Williams, Darcy DeMont, Harry Menzadine, and Stephen Dash. Come on up. Come on up. Yes. Please have a seat.
How's it going?
Have a seat.
I would sit down next to Kane, but I'm still mad at him.
Sean Cunningham's coming. He's running a little bit late, I was just told. Here we go.
Hey! No, so far.
So, basically, I usually ask a question, get this going. I think you all are primed to ask questions, am I right?
Oh, yeah!
Absolutely. So, let's just go ahead and get started. Who has the first question? Right here, the guy that wanted to kill me earlier.
Hello, guys and gals. Question is for Ms. Darcy. Do you have any interesting roboticide stories for us?
Which has nothing to do with horror.
Broke his glasses. A paperclip would fix it. Is there a paperclip in the audience? How about a piece of string, some fish line?
The question was for Darcy. Thank you. Darcy, please go ahead.
I auditioned for Robosize and really bonded with Ron Harris and got hired to do the video, which is apparently like the highest selling aerobic exercise video in the world, apparently. And Ron Harris has no desire to take it to DVD. So sometimes I have these people who show up with VHS, they're all yellow, they've been sitting around for a while. But the question was, can you repeat the question?
Just any interesting stories from roboticide?
Well, I don't know if you've seen the making of a Robosize. Have you seen it? You haven't? Okay, I think it's on YouTube. But when I'm in the red leotard exercising, everybody thinks that the camera was sped up, and that was all me. And at the end, I kind of roll over, and I'm so wiped out, and he says, "Oh, you're wonderful, wild thing." And then they cut, and they had to bring me oxygen because I couldn't catch my breath. So that's one of the little tidbits from behind the scenes, but it was such an amazing experience. I'm just so proud of it. We had a great time filming it. But thank you for that question.
And Sean Cunningham is here. All right, did we get the glasses fixed at the end? We good?
All we need is a paper. We're good.
A paper clip?
We're good. Sorry, Darcy, I didn't know that they asked for a question.
That's okay. No problem.
All right, next question, please. Who has our next question? Just go ahead and start thinking of them. Get ready. Really? Really?
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, right there.
Okay, this question is for Sean. I was wondering if, after you were done filming or while you were filming, looking back, was there anything you would have wanted to have changed about the movie or couldn't do simply because of budget restraints or not the proper resources, etc.?
When the movie stopped shooting, we were in New Jersey, and the last sequence we were shooting out there was Adrian and Ari in the lake, and it was getting cold. We had to shoot it three times, I think, and each, in the regular movie business, you do something like that, and then they say, okay, let's reset. How long to reset? You have to fix the makeup and change the costumes, and it might have been a couple hours. Not for us, it was always a week. Because we had to do all the makeup and figure out and look at what we shot and try to figure out if it was going to work. So At that point, I was really anxious to get home, but I don't think that we did that. I felt I left much unsaid about the film. It was always meant to have very limited parameters, and it was meant to hopefully involve the audience in a very simple way. And I was glad that it was over. The word reshoot never came up once. By the way, you smell very nice.
Next question. Good question. Right up here, sir, in the red, if you'll stand up, the microphone's coming to you. Thank you.
How's everybody doing today? Good. All right. This is for Kane. Of course. Why wouldn't it be about fucking Kane? Go ahead, ask the question. The question is, I'll bet it's been asked many times. We'll see. In the new video game they're getting ready to release, I believe, Kane, that they brought you back in to play Jason. How was it revisiting your character?
Well, as you know, I was not ready to give up that hockey mask when I was replaced. Well, they're fucking hilarious. Especially the old heart attack man. That's Dashkowitz. Anyway, yes. Blow dry. Works on his hair for hours and he still does that shit. I always loved playing the character. I didn't want to be replaced in Freddy vs. Jason, but I was, and unfortunately. So the game bringing me back felt really good. I loved the fact that back killing people, even though I look different when I'm shooting the scenes because it's mocap. So I'm wearing a spandex outfit, and a little hard to look scary in spandex, but I tried to do my best. But what was very cool, I don't know if you guys know about motion capture, I didn't realize that at the time, when I'm on the motion capture stage, in the spandex, I can look at a monitor and see me live already animated as Jason, and it was the Part 7 Jason, which is the look I always liked the most. And so even though I looked ridiculous, I could look on the screen and see what I was supposed to look like. I didn't know they had that capability. Maybe that's ignorant on my part, but it was very cool to be able to see me immediately live animated as the character. So it was fun. I mean, we're still not done. We're doing some more mocap this month. But I think the game is absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that Sean gave his blessing and made it Friday the 13th, because Tom and I and Harry were involved in the game before when it was called Summer Camp. And they approached Sean, I believe, I don't know if this is accurate, but they approached him with the idea, and he gave the blessing to be Friday the 13th, and I think it's going to be huge. And what I've seen, the trailer just looks incredible, and not often do I cringe while watching something, but when I watch that trailer, it is brutal. And,
Have you seen that trailer?
Oh yeah!
Very excited about it. So yeah, I'm very happy to have been asked to do it. I love the idea.
Sean, follow up, is that how it happened?
No, none of that's true.
And Kane, I hate to tell you, but you've been replaced again. Mr. Cunningham contacted me, and we'll be going back to Part 6. Thank you, Mr. Sanini, also for your support.
No, the thing about the game is that I guess most of you, one way or another, are familiar with it, and it's just terrific. The thing that Kane and Tom and Harry were working on was exactly the kind of game that we were trying to map out in a parallel universe, and so that the guys from Gunn who were working on it got together with our guys, and they realized, hell, we could just we could put this together and it'll really work. And it did. And it was just a really great fit. There have been so many dreadful attempts at trying to make a Friday the 13th game, and this one is really special. So that's all I have to say about that.
Can I add?
Absolutely.
I will make this prediction right here, with or without a microphone, that the next Friday the 13th feature film will in some way be based on the fan interaction with this fantastic game. Well, the reason I'm saying that is because it introduces a whole new generation to the characters, scenarios, locations, and vocabulary of F-13.
You need any pizza sauce or hot sauce or syrup, he's selling it at his table. And underneath the table, you got hardware. You need nuts, bolts, or screws. And anybody needs to be outfitted for a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, a fucking hat, anything you want. He's got it. 8 seconds in the movie, and he's a retail genius.
And look, I just got free advertising for this new bench. Remember, people, Jason slashes prices.
Isn't it amazing that it's hard to believe that 8 movies were done since Dash, and they never asked him to play the character again?
That's not true. I gotta
wonder why.
That's not true.
I was working. I only got 44 movies under my belt. I
10
was busy.
movies, actually.
I was busy. And let me tell you something
did
else.
ask.
They
here
asked
we
me
go.
to do
They
part
did.
3, and I turned it down. And if I would have taken part 3, none of you fuckers would have been here.
It's true. So that said, Steve,
Every Jason, from me, I'm 5'11". After me, they became 6'3", 6'5", 6'6".
So,
you know.
let me try to bring this back down just a little bit. Who has a question?
I have a question for all of you.
Good.
How does it feel to be part of the greatest horror-movie trilogy ever made? I mean, Friday the 13th, the greatest. And the second part of the question is,
Are you talking about the Porky's movies?
I wasn't in spring break.
the second part is, when each of y'all walked on set, did you have any idea that y'all was going to become the icons you are?
All right, let's start down here. Females first.
Start with Dash. He'll answer forever.
Well, first of all, if it weren't for all of you, we wouldn't be sitting here, so thank you. And that's a big deal. It's just a great honor, and it's a lot of fun to come out and see and be part of this. And I am really thrilled about it.
I think, from my perspective, taking over as part 6, if we have the foresight and the vision that Mr. Cunningham, along, I would guess we could call him the godfather of Friday the 13th, and Tom Savini taking care of the makeup and so on, none of us would be here. So the appreciation goes back to the stars of the role. So thank you to them.
Yes.
I have no freaking idea why I'm here. As a matter of fact, I'm really glad to be with all these people.
I gotta tell you, I made a statement, in all seriousnly, I made a statement before about I turned down 3. I did. I really did. I finished 2, and it was a job. I was a stunt guy. I had the lead role in a movie with a bag over my head and I had no lines. So I took the job, and they said, we can't give you credit because they already hired this guy Warrington Gillette, and we're going to give you credit as Jason Stunt Double. I said, that's fine. I don't give a shit. But I got to tell you, looking back 36 years, and you hear a lot of actors say, I turned this role down, and I turned down 3 because Paramount didn't want to pay for my flight out to LA from New York. And I was on Guiding Light with Kevin Bacon at the time. But I regret it because this is a fabulous, fabulous franchise. And it's really, in all seriousness, I am really honored to be sitting with these guys. I kid them, and I tease them, and I love them, and I'm the senior citizen besides Ted White, right? Ted's older than me, right? Oh, you're older than me too? God, I feel great now.
I can only get an erection. 72. I got 21 stents in me, 14 in my heart. I had 6 heart attacks, and Kane doesn't mess with me because he's afraid I'll die.
Thank you. No, Steve. For me, since I was 14 years old, it meant so much to work together with Sean on a great movie prior to Friday the 13th. I learned a great deal there. And then when Sean said, "You're going to be a monster," and I got to meet Tom Savini, and at that age, it was like all the doors were open, and I saw so many infinite possibilities for what life could be. And I want to say to everybody out there, challenge yourselves. You can always become successful at whatever it is you put your love into, and I'm very fortunate to be here on this stage. Thank you.
The short answer to the question about, being aware that we were starting a trend or a franchise or something iconic never occurred to anybody connected with the movie. We were out there just trying to make a little scary movie. We didn't have enough money, we didn't have enough time, but what the hell? We didn't really know that until we got in the middle of it. So we just kept going, and it turned out the way it turned out. And I find that most of the work that I like best that I've done hasn't been with some ultimate goal in mind. Just go out and just try to make the best movie you can, and when it's over, make another.
Well, it felt great because it fulfilled the definition of happiness for me anyway. That is, working with a bunch of happy, fun, creative, intelligent, people toward a goal. One of the happiest days was, remember when we cut Robbie Morgan's throat?
Yes. Oh,
okay.
That was a good day.
You said how long is it going to take to cut her throat? I said I can bring her back in a half an hour. So she jumped on my motorcycle. We zoomed to the effects shop. We did her throat. We zoomed back, and he was surprised. Shut. You meant it. Half an hour and you're back. Because he wasn't used to people, being on, saying something and then fulfilling. Anyway, it felt great, and no, none of us had any idea. I didn't have an idea, at least, that this was going to go crazy. You just never know. You just never know.
Ditto. I don't think anybody, at least in the first movie, had any idea that it was going to be lightning in a bottle. We were all just trying to feed our family and have a job, and be as creative as possible with whatever the situation happened to be. In this case, writing the music to that picture. I mean, the first time I saw it, I just who's going to go see this? I don't even get it, Anyway, but it's I think everybody says the same thing. We all worked as hard as we could, and we tried to make the best movie we did, and that was it. Kane, we now take time out for this Sean.
Oh, stereo.
So my perspective is completely different than everyone else, because by the time I joined the franchise, it was already well established. Everyone knew the character Jason. I thought CJ in particular had done a great job, because I was always a fan of the movies. Now, just imagine, I don't even know if you can, but imagine how it felt to be a fan of a series of films and of a character in particular, because I always loved Frankenstein, the classic, and to be a fan of Jason, and then suddenly I'm in the position to play that exact character, and it was like beyond what I could comprehend at the time, because I was a stunt guy. I had been working in the stunt business for 11 years, just getting my career going. First 3 or 4 years, I pretty much starved, but because it's a tough business. But once I got going, I was doing well, and never anticipated, because I was a stunt guy, never thought I would ever sign an autograph in my life. It didn't even enter my mind. So the fact that suddenly I was being selected to play this character that was known around the world already, that I said, I have to do whatever I can to do justice to this. I was very surprised that I think I had John Beekler on my side because I had done a movie called Prison with him and I had worn a full makeup and stuff. So he was pushing for me, since he was directing Part 7, to play the character. I was a little surprised that I did get the job because, again, I thought CJ did a great job. So to be in that position and suddenly playing a character that everybody already knew, I said, I have to do whatever I can. And, you know, I would practice in a mirror, just, am I boring you guys?
Yeah, you're narrating your book.
Well,
I've never heard any of this before.
okay, so I'll speed it up then. Anyway, you know,
The sushi's getting cold.
I'm doing fine.
I thought it was a tremendous honor. I wanted to do whatever I could.
Is that your book? Is that the question?
Well, that's already been said.
It didn't say about auditioning and all that bullshit.
It's like a yes or no question, right? It's a yes or no question.
Oh, that's how everybody else answered, yes or no.
Please, will everybody just get along?
He's got Dane Brown.
I have no
I
idea
guess
where
I'm
I'm
done.
in. Are we good? No, all right.
We love
Yes,
you.
I'm
There's
done.
got to be another question.
Yeah, we've got some more questions. We've got a bunch up here. We've got some right around there. We'll just make our way around.
Just don't give the mic to Kane. Don't ask Kane a question. I'm warning you.
Yeah, I'm so much more long-winded than he is.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What is your favorite Friday the 13th film in the franchise and why?
What's their favorite? Is that what you asked? Each person, yeah. Each person. What's your favorite movie in Friday the 13th and why?
7.
Well, I'd have to say Part 6 because I was in it and had a great experience. And this guy killed me.
Well, I'm running for office, so I'm going to say that without all of them entirely, you couldn't have the franchise. So my name is CJ Graham, and I approve this message.
Just like Darcy, like Darcy, the Friday the 13th, the final Friday, again because I was in it, and the check cleared. Actually, I didn't know. This is true. I'm ashamed of this almost. I'd forgotten that I was in Friday the 13th because the title of mine was Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. So I'm sitting around looking at all these guys and looking at all these posters and going, damn, Friday the 13th, cool. I forgot Jason Goes to Hell was a Friday the 13th also. It was insane.
Let me tell you why Friday the 13th Part 2 is the best. You little shit. I did all my own stunts. The guy they originally hired to play Jason couldn't do the goddamn stunts. I did it. Every stunt. I wasn't computer generated. I wasn't 6'3". I wasn't a bodybuilder. I was a fat little kid who did his own stunts. And I'm the only Jason with a goddamn bag over his head. And I'm going to add one more thing. I don't give a shit what they say. I did 4. I was in 2, 3, 4 in the final chapter, and they used clips of me, so screw them. I was in more than Kane.
So 3 is more than 4 then.
Of course, I like the first Friday the 13th, and I want to say Betsy Palmer playing Pamela Voorhees. Interestingly, she played my mom in Friday the 13th, and she shares the same birth date as my actual mother, November 1st, the day after Halloween. And I love her forever. So, part 1.
I must be politically correct as well. Without all of the films collectively, none of us would be here. And I am really grateful for that and for everybody and all their contributions. And yes, I did approve this message.
I have no idea what the question is. What's the question?
Favorite Friday.
Oh, part four. Yeah.
No,
Well, Ted White, the effects I thought were terrific, and they paid me a fortune.
Was that the Friday?
I don't know. Sean wouldn't know.
No, that would be the last one.
The last one, yeah. Well, that was Frank Mancuso, Paramount, you know.
So
Yeah.
it was Hollywood, you know, it was done as with a feature film production quality, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay. Question answered. Here you go. What's your favorite?
My favorite is number one.
he already answered.
Already answered by Kate.
All right, next question. Where are we at, Jen? Oh,
This question's for Mr. Sabini.
Hello.
I'm over here. Has there ever been a movie, and you don't have to name what movie, but has there ever been a movie that you looked at it, they approached you to do the special effects, and it just wasn't in the budget to make it what you thought it should be, and you had to turn it down?
No, the job is, no matter what the budget is, there's the script, here's the list of effects, you do it, no matter what it takes, you know, I mean, limitations, like no budget, not enough people, not enough materials, it always makes you more creative, and that was the fun. So I've never had that experience, no, we just do it, just do it.
Hey, it's my question's for Harry. The score to the movie has such an impact. It's almost like it's a kind of a character itself in the movie. Can you talk about the process that you guys went through? Did you write the music and then just fit it into the movie, or did you watch the movie in parts and create the music based on that?
No, the movie was finished before I started to write the music. The process was, we didn't have any money or any time, but that's part of the fun. The situation was that Sean and I had talked about this and that, and one thing was that we had made the decision that we were going to try to only have music for the killer and not for anything else. I could name 10 things in that picture where anybody else would have put a stinger on different things. There were so many, but we left that alone. There was only music where the killer is present. The idea of the that thing, that came because Sean one day said to me, "Can we have a chorus?" Yeah. Can we have a chorus? And I said, we have 13 guys in a basement in New Jersey is what we have. And so that's what we have. So, but he was right about the chorus because we needed dramatically, we needed a reason. Like when you just said the music was a character. Music had to become a character because we never saw the killer till reel 9. So I had to make the killer appear in reel 1, 2, 3, 4, all so. And I had heard a piece of music that really affected me, and I thought it was really dramatic. And so I just took "Kill Her Mommy" from What Betsy's Mouth. You see that close-up of her mouth. And I just went, kill, like, and I didn't say the words, I just did the consonants. And then we echoed them, like that. And all at once, the music became a person in the movie. And that's what we did. But again, it's, the mother of invention, necessity. We had to do something, and that was, man, it happened real fast. And immediately you knew it wasn't the cameraman, it was the killer was present. That's the way it worked.
Well, real quick, there was some other cool music stuff in Friday the 13th, like the use of songs at the very top where they have all the camp counselors singing together. I think is very effective. Great way of starting the movie. I don't know. And then, what about who's singing that country song in the diner?
It's actually everybody. Everybody who sang in that movie sang everything. It was a bar mitzvah band that I used to play with in Jersey, and they sang "Sail Away, Tiny Sparrow," and I was singing too. Yeah, I was back there. I was one of the camp counselors. I'm not sure which one, but because in a film. Because they would cut, like, they pan along, and then there was, like, the guy who was checking out the chick on the other side of the campfire. So, like, we would have separate tracks so that when it came time to cut to the guy, you heard him louder than, everybody else. I was one of them, but it was just a bunch of, I'm telling you, it's like you're flying by the seat of your pants music.
Nowadays everything is DIY. There's probably some independent horror filmmakers in the audience right now, and I know as an independent band leader, we're always going by this very same ideas. Hey, we've got a job to do. This is our budget. This is as much time. Let's show them. Let's knock them dead, like Betsy used to say, with what we got.
I had done two films before this for Sean, and both were like, I would call them kids films. They were, one was a baseball film, one was a soccer film. Sean always has, I call it the "oh by the way" line. He calls me up with the "oh by the way" phone call. And the first one was in a movie. It was Here Come the Tigers, and we needed to play he goes, "oh by the way, we need the national anthem." And I'm sitting there with one trombone player, one trumpet player, and one flute player. And I said, okay, we need the national anthem. But it can't be really good national anthem because it's like the local grammar school band playing the national anthem. So I just wrote out a version of the national anthem, and I said, okay, now you're not supposed to play this really well, so I want you to miss a note every once in a while, sort of screw up. So we tripled the trumpets, we tripled the trombones, we tripled the woodwinds, and then I came in. We didn't have a bass drum, because who carries a bass drum? So I took a snare drum, took the snares off, and then played played the recording at 3 times the speed, and just played all the downbeats, like boom, 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 like that. And then when you played it back slow, it sounded like a bass drum, but it was just it was like literally constructing a bad high school band playing the national anthem. But there's always Sean always calls with the "oh by the way" phone call. Anyway.
What's our question right here?
My question is for Stephen Williams. Wake in the other popular shows that you've been in, you've had relatively normal death scenes.
Hey!
But in
relatively what?
Normal death scenes. But in the Friday the 13th movie, it was not so normal. How would you compare filming, roles in Supernatural and the X-Files, those scenes, versus, what happened to you in Jason Goes to Hell?
You mean comparing the deaths?
The death scenes.
Okay. Oh, the death scene.
Yes.
Are these questions too tough for you?
I don't know what I'm here. Listen, I have a ball. When I go to set, period, I have a ball, period, no matter what I'm doing. I have a damn good time. I follow the script. I do the best I can with the writer's words and my director's directions. And then I go home and cash a check and do some bad drugs. That's the main problem.
Did that answer your question, drugs? Right over here we go.
This question's for everybody. My favorite kill in the series was the idiot that tried to box Jason in Part 8.
Nice.
What's your favorite kills in the series?
Let's start with Kane. Here we go again.
Let's start with Kane.
Everybody knows sleeping bag for me.
The sleeping bag. But they did it twice too. They did it in Jason X as well.
Right, Sleeping Bag is definitely at the top, but there are two others, and just because every one of these movies has that one character that you just absolutely hate, and you just can't wait for them to get it. The first one was the guy in the wheelchair
Down the stairs.
went down the stairs when the accident started. I was like cheering, just for that. And the other one was the blonde girl in Jason X, who was the bitch at the beginning of the movie, and they froze her head and smashed it down. Those are my two.
My favorite kill is killing Jason. I cut his head in half in part 4, and he slides down the machete.
I think that the one that I associate is, I'm sorry about this, killing Betsy Palmer, which was, that was Tom's magic trick, and it hadn't been done before. And, we're used to it now and pretty much numb to it, but are we going to be able to pull this off? And it was so much fun to watch and plan and play with, and then at the very end we get to play in front of an audience, and all we can see is the inconsistencies and the problems that we had shooting it, but it just worked like crazy, and so that was the most fun that I had doing it.
If you see that effect again, when Betsy's hands come up after her head is gone, it's my assistant Tasso, and she has hairy knuckles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon has just had a wonderful time with his girlfriend. He's leaning back for a cigarette, and I was thinking, smoking is not good for you. And the next thing you know, there's an arrow coming through his throat. I thought that was very impressive.
Well, that's another Tasso story, because the tubing came off the blood pump, and he grabbed it and blew in it, and that's why the blood gurgled out of his neck. It was a happy accident.
I have to reiterate what Harry said. The wheelchair down the stairs backwards. It took about a week to pull that stunt off. The guy that was actually in the wheelchair was a guy by the name of Tony Ferrantino, the stunt double. He was James, I don't know how many people know James Ferrantino, but he was James Ferrantino, the brother. And the wheelchair had to be rigged in such a way that the weights were in the bottom of the wheelchair. We had to have a line down the banister to make sure the wheelchair didn't tip over and he didn't fall backwards. We had to have the effects of the machete in his head. It took about a week to set it up, and believe it or not, we did it in one take because they didn't have a lot of money. As usual, which I know you hear that a lot here, but let me tell you, they want to make these movies as cheaply and as, they don't want to spend any money, so we had to do it in one take, and we actually got it. It was in the rain. We had the Rain Man making the rain, and the guy down the stairs. It was a fabulous stunt. Cliff Cudney was the stunt coordinator on it, and it was a marvelous piece of work. Better than the sack against the tree. That's such a bullshit stunt, you know what I mean? Really, not for nothing. Anybody can get in a sack and go against a tree. And you don't think there was a real body in there, do you? Because he's not that freaking strong.
I don't have a favorite kill. I'm just mad that I was killed, okay? but I'm happy that I wasn't the first to go, because they always do the brothers first.
That is not accurate at all. And by the way, I hugged you to death. If you remember, I hugged him to death. And if you ever see Jason Takes Manhattan, the black dude is close to the end. So it's not always the black dude first.
I'm going to let that one go. I think there's a definition of two types of kills. I do like Kane's kill in the sleep bag. I like my kill where I broke the sheriff's back. Those are kills of power. However, I do like the ones where the special effects come in. I was sad that Tom McLaughlin had one scene where the gentleman used to play Rorschach, the heart was pulled out, was beating. Unfortunately, he couldn't get it past the ratings of 1986. Otherwise, I believe it went to X, if I recall. So to get it down, they had to take that shot out. So I think if you looked at the kills, it depends on what you're looking for, just the force. or if you're looking for the horror, the gore. So I think it's a choice.
You know, we should add too, the great Sir Richard Brooker had some amazing kill scenes in the 3D version in part 3, most memorably with that eyeball coming out. You know, I thought we should just throw that in there for
Absolute friends.
Yeah, absolute.
I think all the kills are unique and different, and they're all pretty fun to watch, especially with all these special effects. I had a great time with CJ with my kill scene because they had built this little set with removable walls in the Winnebago bathroom, and then they also had the camera up above. And I fought with him. I have the longest fight scene with Jason, I think, out of any of the franchise. And I'm 5'2", so go figure. But we had a good time, and I ended up with a lot of bruises, but I wore those like badges of honor. So I'm really happy about that scene.
Next question. We got one right here. For all of you, what's your least favorite kill?
We'll see if we can do this a little quicker round robin.
Everybody's getting fidgety. My least favorite kill, no comment.
It's worth it.
I can't, I just can't think of it one that's the least. I think the ones that I have to work the hardest on, somewhere in part 5, somewhere there's a kill that I just had to work really hard on, but I don't know I couldn't even tell you what.
Someone give him a massage or something?
Okay, do you have a mic?
Yes.
Okay.
My least favorite kill is wheelchair down the stairs. And that's because Dash didn't do shit with that kill. That was the stunt double and Savini. And Dash did nothing. So how is that a good kill?
This question is for Mr. Cunningham. Far be it from a fan to ask a question based on something we read on the internet, but curiosity does beckon in regards to Jason Goes to Hell. By the way, Mr. Creighton Duke, nice to see you, sir.
Yeah!
I read it quoted, supposedly quoted, that Mr. Cunningham, you said to director Adam Marcus at some point during the production, quote, please do something about the damn hockey mask, unquote, which would seem to indicate maybe you weren't a fan of kind of where the character had come to evolve at that point. Just wondering if that's true, and if so, could you elaborate?
It's a fucking lie. Outside of that's a good story, but no, we the mask was there to stay. Adam had some other things he was trying to do, but the mask ultimately saved our ass in that movie.
I always tell this story. I believe, and this is my belief, because Steve Meyer directed part 2, and when I had that bag on, I had the double-faced tape on my eye every day so I could hold the eye close. And from taking the tape on and off every day, and I was on the show about 3 weeks, I developed burns on my face, and I always was under the assumption that they went to the hockey mask because they had so much trouble with the bag. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that's what I assumed, and I always tell everybody it's true, but now that he's here, I can't lie. So he would know because he wrote the goddamn thing. So, what do you think?
What I know is that the consensus was that the bag looked ridiculous.
As well as the performance.
But that the
fuck him.
Yeah.
I'm not making any money with it anymore. Who gives a shit? I thought it was great, man. Fuck the mask.
Did you have some burns on your face, Steve? Oh,
Are we done? Are we done?
burns. I can't imagine how that must feel to be burned. Yeah. Wow, a little red mark on his eye. That
got
is
real.
sad.
This is the best panel ever.
This one's for Steve. I was wondering, was it fun trying to kill Jason?
Steve who? Me or him? And after they said the baddest things you want to call
I had a ball. I had an absolute ball. Like I said, I was just mad. And I thought fighting would survive, you know? And then there's one tape that I wanted to do that I don't know if they left it in or if they even do it. Like when he's crushing my back, I wanted to kiss him dead in the mouth. I just leaned in, wanted to kiss him and tell him I'll see you in hell. And I have fun every time I do any damn thing. I'm having a ball right now. It's just don't look like it.
This is for Mr. Cunningham. I, like everybody, I'm sure, was very sad to hear the passing of Betsy Palmer last year, who played Mrs. Voorhees. I was wondering if you could share some memories of directing her and Adrian King, because those scenes were so well performed, well directed, and it really seemed like she was laying those slaps in.
Betsy Palmer, when we cast her, was like an all-American woman. She was on the morning shows, and nobody would ever associate her with anything evil. So the kind of stunt casting that was involved was that if Betsy Palmer opened the door, things are going to be safe. That was one of the things that we took, and Betsy was as nice as she seemed. She never did anything in all the years I knew her to contradict that. She's a wonderful person. She came in. The scene is broken up in basically in two halves. Betsy Palmer came in and she started to get a little mad in her eyes, and she gets crazier and crazier. And we rehearsed it, and we finally get it, and we're running out of night. We're about to run into daytime, and we finally get to the end of the scene, and at which point she is to attack with a knife. And I never realized till that day that I had never thought of the knife. It was just a prop. And so we got to the end, and Betsy grabs the knife, and she goes, like, she had no idea how to handle a knife or what to do. And we got this great big stunt sequence coming up. I said, oh my God, what the fuck are we going to do? Because I was really happy up until then. And that was the end of the shooting for the night. And I'm now talking to Tom and Steve Miner, who was there, and Adrian, and Betsy about how we could restage the fight that we had contemplated to come up with the fight that we had. And by the way, there are no stunt doubles, so Betsy had to be it, except for when Tassos did it. So that was that night. Adrian, you probably remember it better than I do. Oh, Adrian's not here. How's that possible?
They're doing a Survivor Girls thing. Next panel.
Anyway.
I just want to mention one thing, that it's like a little Betsy Palmer thing. I remember the first time I met her, and I told her, I said, you were brilliant in that part. I was, and I'm going, yes, you were brilliant. And I said, and I can show you the exact moment in that picture where you were brilliant. And I want you all, next time you watch Friday the 13th, this is how well she had that character. There's a close-up of her, and she says, well, that Jason was my son, and today's his birthday. And then she goes, he wasn't a very good swimmer. And she starts to laugh and smile when she says that. It's like she's crazy, she knows she's crazy, but she doesn't care. And it's just like she went through 3 emotions in one. It's his birthday. And he wasn't a very good swimmer. You know, like, holy crap.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
It was an incredible moment of time. By the way, the same thing. Stephen, in part 9, that was I was so excited about his character because it was like, we finally got somebody who's going to kick some ass in this movie. And I was upset that he got killed too because. No, but what I'm saying is that his character was such a breath of like, holy smoke, we got somebody who's going to, you know, take, what do they call it? Take names and kick butt or something. I don't know what I'm saying.
Kicking ass and taking names.
That's just that. But that was really, anyway, whatever.
That dude was sticking a hot dog through a donut.
Yeah! Woo!
That's delicious. Well, I want to pick
You
up.
didn't understand that line either, Sean. Don't get that line. But I delivered it like nobody, didn't I?
Yeah!
To pick up on what Harry was saying there, another multi-leveled reaction from Betsy Palmer when Alice Hardy is freaking out and she sees Betsy, Pamela Voorhees come up. She says, "I'm a friend of the Christies," and she embraces her. And it's an amazing moment there. She's embracing the one who's done all this terror, and then she says, "I'm not afraid," and she just goes in there, and I love that moment and never forget it.
Okay, we have time for one more great question. Who's got the great?
But it's got to be a great
A great, not good.
Can we choose?
Don't let us down, man.
It's not great, you die.
Mr. Cunningham, you read a lot about the movie business about certain movies being snake bit, technical problems crop up that you didn't expect or anything. Which one of the Friday series was the hardest one to make technically?
It's worthy.
Is that this question?
Exactly.
Technically, I think that Jason X was probably the most difficult because it had so many things in it. But that's difficult in terms of a puzzle. But we had money to make the movie and money to experiment and to wind up doing what we did. For sure, the hardest to make initially was the first one. We were out with no lights, and for whatever reasons, I had thought that it would be good to have rain. And I said, you know, how hard could rain be? You know, and you could spray with a hose or something. And I had no idea about, they're called sprinklers that are on it. It's very complicated. And so then we get this really complicated rain rig, and said, okay, turn it on, go. And they turn it on and look through the camera. You can't see any of it. You can't see it. And it's like thousands of dollars. I don't know how much it was, but it was just a ton of money. And then we had to learn.
The same rain guy?
Same rain guy, yeah, right. And so, you know, shooting nights with rain that didn't work, and learning how you had to shoot light across it in front of the light. It was one of just several different things that happened, and we slogged on through it. But you know, I was going to say we didn't have a plan B, but we were always working around plan F, plan G, you know. And Tom probably can comment on that.
Yeah, well, you know, we did a low budget film just called The Fire Department. They came and just shot the hoses in the air, and the rain was gorgeous.
You know, it's an interesting comment because the rain in Friday the 13th Part 1 is an important element. The actress, I forgot the character, it's Kevin's girlfriend, she sits down, she says, I have this dream where I'm in the shower and the shower turns to blood. And then Kevin strikes that wonderful pose and he says, it's going to rain. It's going to come down the valley like a son of a gun. And then I'm like, wow. And then it starts raining, and really that's where everything changes. Because I always thought that was a great element. People forget, you know. She went through this terrible night of rain and blood, and you think it's over, and then I ruined everything. So I just want to say I'm sorry.
And by the way, before you were born, Betsy Palmer was hot. she was dating JD.
That's right.
And I still thought she was hot on Friday the 13th.
Love her forever. That's for sure.
Well, that went a little quicker. I guess we do have time right here. This gentleman's been, well, doesn't matter. Go ahead, sir. Grab it.
Wait, he's got somebody back there with a microphone.
Oh, okay.
So, personally, I like Jason's look at the bag. It's kind of my favorite. I realized yesterday I'd never seen the first one.
I give you a free autographs when you come to my booth.
That'll be for everybody, okay?
He's got so many different looks, going from a dude with a bag on his head to this whole thing with a mask that's almost part of his skull. What's everybody's favorite look across the board of the entire
Let's go.
Favorite look? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was distracted. What was the question?
Favorite look, favorite Jason look.
In the book?
Look.
Look.
Look. Yeah.
I love the hockey mask.
Well, I think you can agree it's across the board. Everything, once the hockey mask comes into format, that's the brand, that's the franchise now going forward. It's iconic. So is that your question?
In which movie I meant? In which actual incarnation of each movie how it kind of works a little bit more? What would you part 6 would be your favorite?
I guess it's going to have to be part 6 with me, because the rest of them were just ugly. And I think I'm the bigger person up on the stage, size-wise, so I don't care what anybody else says at this point. Is that the last question, so we can finish this? Because I'm going to pass the microphone down, okay?
I'm with him.
Wheelchair down the stairs backwards.
Jason X. The next one.
Ditto.
No, the next one. By the way, you should give yourself a hand because you have no idea how important y'all, all y'all, are to us. So, by the way, we really appreciate it.
I have one question for Sean real quick. I think in the next movie, and I get this from a lot of fans, Sean, seriously, they all say, why don't you have all the Jasons and all the victims in cameo roles in the next movie you make so we can make a lot of freaking money?
Yeah!
With that bombshell, give him a big round of applause.
I'll give my card man real quick.